Let's see. This might work. Fingers crossed. Oh, I'm so not tech savvy, everybody. It's the simplest things, and I can't do it. Hello from Brownsville. Hey, good wipes. My friend Charlie. Okay, so now you can hear me. Love from Canada. Hey, y'all. Hey, Meg. It's good to see you, girl. Well, today we are all going to be joining. I'm super excited about this. We're going to be joining my dear friends at IJM. We're going to be talking with someone by the name of Anu. And let's see how to make this happen. I'm so sorry for these difficulties, y'all. For some reason, it was not letting me connect. And y'all know I don't know how to do this stuff. Venezuela. Hey, y'all. Colombia. Okay, there we go.
Here we are. Oh my gosh.
Yay! Look.
This is amazing because I'm like you, like 100%. Like,
I don't understand social media to save my life. I feel like when they're like, oh, millennials this, millennials that, I'm like, forget millennials, Gen Z and all those other people. I like don't get it. I'm like sitting there like, I think I'm supposed to send a request. IJM, send request. I'm trying. I don't know if I'm doing this right. And then it froze for the longest time. Anu, it's so good to talk to you.
oh my gosh, I'm living a dream here, Lauren.
Oh,
Such a honor to be here. Oh my goodness.
well, it's an honor to be talking to you. So for everybody watching, this is our friend Anu. She works with IJM. She has an incredible story, has rescued over 10,000 people in forced labor. It's been amazing. I was reading your story earlier, and I'm just so inspired by you. For those of you who don't know, IJM stands for International Justice Mission, and they go around the world in poverty-stricken areas, and they protect people from violence, whether it's human trafficking, whether it's forced labor, whether it's government, and they train people in those communities to see what to look out for and what to help with. And I this is kind of crazy and new, but I was in college at LSU, and that was the first time I had heard about International Justice Mission. And they started a chapter on campus, and I was part of the group from the very first chapter, like the
Oh
first
my
year that
goodness.
they put it on there. And every Thursday they would International Justice Mission, and they still do this, everybody. So if you're, wanting to know about it, every Thursday they do this thing where they send out an email of all the things to pray for, and they break it down like country by country. It's amazing. And that was like my Thursday morning routine of like going straight from the I would wake up in the morning and I would check that email, and I would immediately start praying for everybody. So to think to think that this many years later, I was sitting there and getting the opportunity to work alongside you guys is really special. It's like a full circle moment for me. This feels kind of surreal. So it's an honor to get to talk to you too, for so many reasons. I feel like this is kind of,
I'm not even blinking my eyes, Lauren. Yes.
it's like, it's God's special way to just bring it all back around. It's been really, really beautiful. And I can't wait to get started. I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Me too, Lauren. Me too.
Would you like to start by sharing your story? And
yeah, I want to let you know just how incredibly grateful I am for you even choosing to host me today. Your music has been such a breath of fresh air. And not just for me. I come from India. You would imagine that your music has not traveled there. Yesterday, late night, I got 4 messages from my family and friends in India saying, hey, could you please message me when you're going live with Lauren? Because we love her music. And they play that. nonstop. And it's like, okay, I mean, it's
Wow.
just amazing that it's not just here, that you have
Wow.
your influence. And honestly, you should know that your music is such an inspiration for my colleagues in the midst of this really difficult, hard work that, we get to do, that we have invited to do. It just is so, helpful. And I, I don't know if it's a good thing, but your music actually calms my twin daughters before I put them to bed. So it just, yeah. So
I
I
hear that story, that specific story all the time. So I want to make a lullaby record because people keep telling me I put the record on to put my kids to sleep. It just soothes them. I'm like, that's God going in there and giving those kids a big old hug, you know? Um,
yeah.
that means so much too, what you're saying about your country and your colleagues. Someone asked me this year, they said, where is a country that you haven't traveled to yet, but you're so ready to go? And I said, India.
Okay. I'll
The,
go with
the,
you, Lauren.
yes, please. I would love that. I got Indian food the other night at this restaurant, and it's owned by a family. It's the father, the son-in-law, the brother, they all work this restaurant together and family owned. And it's just so, they were so kind. I had the best tea ever. It's just a very hospitable culture from the little bit that I've experienced here.
Yeah.
I haven't
Now,
even been
it is.
here.
It is, but it's also, a space because of the nature of the work that we do. When, we are focusing and addressing poverty in countries like that. I mean, simply put,
Yes.
IJM is rescuing individual people while also simultaneously working to fix a broken public justice system to create a long-term, everlasting change, sustainable change. But
Yes.
there is this part of the culture that I'm so in love with because if you come this way, you would not regret having taken the trouble to come this way because my
Yes.
chai is really mean, but my biryani takes the
Yes.
yeah. So it is there,
Yes.
but there are also these, really difficult reality that people from countries like me struggle with, slavery to begin with. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's also one thing, like your song Rescue, Lauren,
Mhm.
it really nailed, pretty much our work in a way. It spoke to me. I can't really explain. Not just for me, but even for my colleagues. I know it's some time since rescuers come and now it's hold on to me, but that song truly is special. Uh, yeah. Oh, I should let you speak. I would go on and on.
No, that means so much. Well, I'm just sitting here thinking because you never know when you're writing a song, when you're sitting in the room, you never know where it will go to, where it'll travel to, the people that it will influence and impact. And for me, it's like, it's mind blowing to think, wow, I was in college at LSU and just thinking about someday working for IJM. That was like my dream. I went to college, one of the dreams, I've had so many, goodness, but was to do pro bono law for international justice missions. I didn't even know that existed until I started learning about what your program does, like how they influence so many. So for everybody listening in, um, they actually represent clients in a court of law pro bono. If it's people that have been rescued from trafficking, if it's some type of forced slavery, if it's forced labor, anything like that, and it gets around to a judicial, if there's a judicial point in the case, they actually represent clients, and it's beautiful to see the work that you guys are doing. That inspired me so much that I was a child and family studies major at LSU, and I wanted to go into law school after to work with human traffic victims. That was like the whole plan. So to hear you say that rescue is reaching people in what you're doing, I really feel like there's something so sweet about that because I'm obviously not on the team, and my life took a very different course of action, but this is the stuff that I still care about to the core. And I always have wanted to be a part. And so to see that the songs are a way for people to be a part is really, I feel like it's a full circle moment. It means a lot
I
to me.
have to agree, Lauren. I think there are very few books which, when you read, it means different things to different people.
Mhm.
And I can compare that to your songs, really. You know, I have a story about Oh Hold On to Me separately, but especially Rescue, every time, we kind of think about it or go through the lyrics, it means different things to a
Mm.
survivor, a victim, somebody who's still waiting. And to people like us who go in there into these hard places and stand between the perpetrator and the victim. So to different audiences, I think it speaks to us. And very few books have the capacity to mean different things. I'm sure you connect with that when I say that. I
Yeah.
think your music is like that. So thank you for gifting us with it. It's I call it a gift because it is.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Anu, do you want to tell everybody listening in kind of a little bit of what your day-to-day looks like and maybe some of the most poignant moments that you've had working alongside International Justice Mission?
Absolutely. I mean, I love this work. I'm probably the biggest fan in the organization. I often joke about this with the founder, really. I wake up in the morning pinching myself because I can't believe that I get to do this. I started doing this work about a decade ago. I experienced violence firsthand. So the theory of change that IJM just made absolute sense to me. I joined the team in India, combating forced labor, slavery. Just knowing that you're a phenomenal storyteller with your music, I'd like to share a story,
Yes.
and hopefully you can hold a candle.
Yeah.
uh,
It'll be the story I retell. That's what'll happen.
Yeah, actually, the picture, the in your video, there is this hospital room, right? I mean,
Mhm.
when I think of that, I recall Tayama. Tayama, a mother. She was already a mother. She was enslaved, going through extreme physical and mental abuse by her slave master. She was pregnant. It was when she was 6 months pregnant. She was like, I don't want this for my unborn child. I don't
Yeah.
want this for my children. And I'm going to fight. I'm going to challenge. So she consciously started, revolting. Obviously, she had to deal with the consequences of it till IJM showed up. She was 9 months fully pregnant. For almost 4 months, she stopped hearing her babies. She could not move, feel the baby's movement
Movement.
in her womb. And that rescue was so symbolic because we literally swept in, saw that Thaima was there, took her out, rushed her straight to the hospital, got her the required drips and whatever. And for the first time, she felt her baby kick. I mean,
Ah,
that to me is when we walk into that hospital room in your video, I'm like,
yes.
that is help. That is, from Taima's perspective, when she possibly screamed, hold on to me, just come, get me. I'm weak, I'm helpless,
Yes.
but I really do want rescue for my child. Her
Wow.
child faced and experienced freedom for the first time while he was still in her womb.
Room.
So
Yeah.
that's what I mean when I say your song says a lot more than you intended it to,
Wow.
to the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get connected to Thyma?
We have an incredible team that works on the ground, identifying. It's not just the on the ground team, it's also people who have once rescued from trafficking. They're constantly, they have their radars up. Once
Yes.
you've been through something like that, it's almost like you can smell fear, you can smell problems like that. So they
Yeah.
literally communicate back with us and say, hey, we think something is not right in this space. We have had so many survivors lead rescues. Lauren, you would be amazed. Women like you and me, after years of being oppressed, deciding that this is not good and this has to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And their capacity, if you free a woman, I say it's infectious. Her freedom
Yeah.
is infectious.
Yes.
She goes around spreading this like nobody's business,
Yeah.
inviting more people into the movement, and making sure that everybody gets what she has. And freedom, something that we take so much for granted, is what she's able to gift through her story. So yeah, I love when you ask me what my everyday is. It is this. It is this amazing, opportunity to kind of listen into what is going on the ground and finding ways that we can have champions like you and
Yeah.
every single followers of yours being interested in the work of IJM and being interested in ending slavery, which I believe is possible in our
Yes.
lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah. That the first time I ever heard that slavery existed, I was I think I was 16 or 17. I was in
Oof.
this school. It was like a co-op. I was being homeschooled, and it was during this period of time where I was sick. So I was going to kind of like a different type of learning style. And this girl walked into our school. She was a classmate, and it was in our speech and debate class. And I thought, oh, I guess this is something that she, maybe she has something that she has to debate or something today, or maybe she's
Yeah.
giving a speech. Because I was thinking, we didn't have an assignment. Like, what is she talking about? Well, she ended up going to church that weekend and hearing about human trafficking for the first time. And she said it was so riveting to her. She went to the teacher and said, can I please share what I learned that is going on in the world today?
Wow.
I just need to talk to the class about it. And the teacher was like, sure, we'll pause class and you can take the top of the class to talk about what it is. And so she started talking about slavery, and I felt like maybe I was the only person in the room, but tears just started pouring down my cheeks. And it was the first time I realized there's an alternate reality. It wasn't the first time, it was the first very monumental time where I realized there's an alternate reality
Yeah.
that is existing very loudly around the world that we are shielded from. That and come to find out, a lot of the trafficking actually takes place in my hometown, and I had no idea because we live in a port city and they ship people in the cargo boxes. And I had no idea that these things were taking place right under my nose. And I also didn't understand that that was a reality that so many other countries were experiencing at large. And so for me, that day, I went home and I remember talking to my family and thinking, what can I do now to be a part of it? And so I joined the chapter of IJM in college. And then there was this other organization that I joined also in college. But then when I was finished with college, I was like, well, what else is there to do? And then this journey of music started. And I was like, okay, I want to live my life figuring out ways to partner with organizations that already exist because you guys have the infrastructure set up. You have made the connections. You have the team members, and you have the support that's needed to continue on freeing people and changing people's lives. And I want to get around that as much as I possibly can. I feel like it's a life mission. I don't think it just stops with singing, you know? I really don't. And I I was in this kind of search of like, God, what do I do? I went to China. Um, oh gosh, I guess it's back in 2015, I think. And we went into brothels, and I remember seeing girls there and little children running around, and men walking in and out. And the place that we were at Madam was actually kind of the head master, if you will. And I just watched this way of life, and people are so desperate that they are like, I have to provide food for my family. This is what I have to do in order to make living possible. And you realize how entrapped they get because for people listening in, the system that I at least watched, where the madam would say, okay, you can come work for me, but you have to, I only allow Mary Kay makeup to be used. And the Mary Kay is $200 and you have to pay it back to me. Well, she charges interest.
Wow.
and then you realize these people can never pay it back, and so she keeps them enslaved in these brothels. And so for the American that doesn't understand it, it looks like, well, that girl signed up to like to offer prostitution.
Yeah.
Like she signed up for that. What that doesn't, it actually isn't that way. She signed up to help her family out in a certain amount of time and then became trapped, and they're not allowed to leave. It's not like, oh, you show up to work every day. It's like you are there around the clock. You service as many men as they tell you, and it becomes a place of bondage, complete
Yeah.
bondage. So what started off as just like, I need to help my family, turned into years of never getting out. And so I'm so inspired by IJM because they don't stop. And I've watched these stories for years where it's like, we just rescued this many people. We've just rescued this many people. We did a sting operation and we went into this area. But the beauty of rescuing people is like what you said, it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
And I think once you see one person rescued, you realize, oh my gosh, this freedom can be available if we have the tools and the resources in place.
Exactly.
And so what I love about IJM is they also work alongside government officials. And if you know anything, for everybody listening in, there's a lot of corruption in government forces, political arenas, policing, that can get corrupt in so many different ways. And so the fact that IJM says, we want to end this as well, and we want to teach these people how to be on the lookout, how to be on guard, how to see what we can do to actually join together to
Yeah.
see change. I think that's pretty powerful. You want to talk a little bit about that and share kind of some of those relationships?
Absolutely. I mean, Lauren, I'm just blown away by how much you know of how IGM operates. It's like you can talk about the theory of change yourself, but right on point. We don't want to be that revolving door of rescue operations. We want to be an organization because there are enough case studies around the world which basically talks about, organizations sweeping in and then, when it's time for them to leave, you basically leave the entire nation dysfunctional because you have created a need there as against addressing something together. So what IJM does is, like you rightly mentioned, partner with the public justice system. And to give a better understanding, I would say, like here in America, if you call 911, you would expect a response. There is a time delay. If you're the victim, you're not necessarily afraid to dial those three numbers. And you can also almost be guaranteed that somebody's going to pick up the phone and respond. We are working in places where this is not the reality. The fear lies in the hearts of the victim. It's not with the perpetrator. So what IJM has tried to do and has been really successful at over the last 2 decades is basically go alongside these government officials. So for us, a success story is being able to step out of a country or step out of a state and see the government do the things that they should be doing. I mean, they are being the rock star. They are literally making commitments to end slavery in the next 10 years. I mean, what better could be an outcome of a program or a project? So that's basically the approach that we have. And like you said, it only begins with rescue. There is a rehabilitation bit. There is fighting the case on their behalf. There is moving away it is okay to keep a slave, like you rightly said. She has borrowed money, she has signed up for it, so therefore she needs it. You're caught in this vicious system, and it is accepted as a culture that, of course, you've taken a loan, you need to be repaying that. They were thinking that the loan was just $10 and you have served your master for 4 generations.
Yes.
And you still not repay that loan. But to remove that mindset from the judges, the police personnel, from administrators, from pretty much not just the bureaucrats, but also politically, have that movement of sort saying unacceptable. We don't want that to be the norm. And we have examples of that. I mean, be it in the Philippines, we've been able to see minors who are trafficked for sex. That has come considerably low. And we have seen but now there is a new shape to that problem. It's sexual exploitation of children. And here again, we find success because we've been able to partner so closely with the government, so
Yeah.
closely with every key player who can actually impact change and sustain it. Yeah, but Lauren, I know you might end the conversation soon, and I'm being greedy.
Oh
I want
no,
to know.
girl. I was gonna keep talking. I got more questions for you.
I just want to know what the inspiration was for you to write "Hold On to Me." Only because I'm like she's speaking to me on various levels, and I want to get that out of her. So,
Yes,
what inspired you to
absolutely.
write?
Okay, so I'll answer this and then I have one more. I have another question for you. Girl, I'll talk till the cows come home. Um, so we wrote that on the road. It was my producer, his name's Paul Mabry, and then another writer who I write with a lot, his name's Paul Duncan. And we were all touring at the time. Paul Duncan had flown in, but the inspiration basically is kind of that moment when you feel like maybe I'm not either the best version of myself, or maybe there are places that I see, whether it's defense mechanisms or whether it's, for me personally, there was a period of time where I realized I'm not making sound decisions. Like I'm not being honorable to people around me. And I feel like there's this cycle of whether it's the industry or whether it's loneliness from touring, whatever it is, I'm not myself. And I had a friend stick with me during that time and remind me of who I was along the way. And so she was just kind of like this sounding board. And I realized like, wow, without that, where would we go? Without people that hold on to us, without God to say, I will accept you even with the worst of who you are. I still invite you. For victims being rescued, sometimes, I don't know if you've experienced this, but there's shame that
Oh,
will come upon these people, and you're like, don't carry the shame. And so to have a lyrical piece and a melodic piece that says, hey, shame, no, even in the worst of moments, when the best of you is barely breathing, when you feel like you're not someone worth anything, the people that look around and say, no, you are. Let me tell you how valuable you are. Let me tell you how loved you are. Let me tell you what a treasure you are to me. It gives the people in need a place to cry out to. And that's the premise of the song. Holding on to people through what may be the worst of moments. And also saying no to shame in the middle of what seems like, the end. Or what seems like painful and grueling, like having someone there to say, you're worth more. Let me show you. So I have a question, even actually, because we were talking about shame, what are some of the ways that IJM helps in the rehabilitation process for those who have been trafficked or endangered?
yeah. It is a survivor trauma is a real thing. And
Yeah.
when you said shame, I had to hold myself from getting emotional there because that is a very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have been enslaved the way you have been,
Mm-hmm.
and once you know that, all your life, somebody else has been taking decisions on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you can eat, whether you can sleep, when you can eat or sleep, if you're given anything to eat, and having that agency over your own body. I recall a rescue where, there were a lot of people, but this particular woman looked like she needed some help, like some real help. And I went to her and I was trying to ask some questions. I was like, what is it? I mean, did they beat you? Are you feeling like you need some help? Years of being oppressed took away her capacity to even speak.
Yeah.
And where I come from, Lauren, this 6 meter fabric, it is supposed to cover our dignity. We hold on to it so much. I mean, we want to make sure
Wow.
that every part of our body is covered. This woman, because she could not voice her trauma, she shed that across so that she could
Wow.
show off the wounds on a body. Imagine the depth of trauma that is there with it. And to walk with that person and tell them, hey, you are free. Freedom is just a word, honestly.
Yes.
At that point, rescue is one thing, but to feel free, you actually need to know that you don't have to be listening to someone to be listens for yourself. So that is a journey that our aftercare workers, take, and even our partners with these survivors. And we have an excellent ratio of people who have been extremely successful in the program. And we see that these very survivors, are now leading champions, people who walk into these brothels and say, I was there, sister.
Yeah. Yes.
It is not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
Come, you can be me. Employed by organizations. One of a survivor is a lawyer. He's going into these places. Can you imagine that? And I keep thinking, goodness, I mean, Abraham Lincoln was teaching, was a cobbler at some point. Imagine if we let him be that. Just like that, there are bazillion people, trapped in the throes of slavery who can be also amazing influence and inspiration for people around the world. So it's a real thing. It is something that I'm absolutely proud about my team with, how they journey with every single survivor. The journey from being a victim to a survivor, how they're doing this together. So, that is...
The most powerful testimony is someone who's walked through it. The most powerful, it's very easy to trust someone who has actually experienced what you are experiencing firsthand. It's different if I were to come in there and say, hey, I promise life's going to be great. Come see. But to have people who have walked through it and can say, I actually know the pain that you're going to experience. I know the fear that you're going to experience. I know the rejection, all the shame. I in the process of learning about child and family studies, you do a psychological component, and a lot of that trauma, that silencing trauma, it literally affects the brain. For everyone listening in, it is a trauma that affects the brain in a way that it actually creates new neuropathways, and the brain has to be rehabilitated because the trauma is so deep that it actually starts to reshape the wiring system of a human. So for us, it looks like, oh, just get out. Everything's fine. You're done now. You don't have to be involved. But when you have been in a system that has kept you entrapped for that many years, your brain has fixated itself and wired itself to that environment. And there is a process of unwinding and rewiring and rehabilitating that is necessary. But to hear the stories about people that are now lawyers and like that they went from some of the most vile circumstances to completely free, and then taking their life beyond just that moment, but impacting the others who are still enslaved. That is beautiful. I met someone recently. He was in prison and he had a wrong sentence. His conviction was horrible. And while he was in prison, he said, well, I'm going to learn law. And he learned how to write his own clemency. And he was one of the first men in the state that he was in to have his clemency granted. And he wrote it, which is pretty profound for a prisoner to write their own clemency and be pardoned. Anyway, I have loved this time. I could literally sit here. I could talk to you the whole time. I'm not sure what your timeline is, but I love this so much. I'm super, super grateful. Is there anything else that you would love to share with everyone? Or do you feel like that summarized everything?
That summarized everything. I just would love for the way you have embraced, wanting to be part of the solution as against being part of the problem moment. I would love, for people who are listening in to, just come to IJM, come to the page and, just be aware of what's going on and find ways how you can support. And I'm also looking at a couple of names from my hometown, Kerala and Chennai, and people who have not bothered to send me a WhatsApp call for the last, I don't know, 3 years, but are here now because they get to see you, Lauren. But
Oh,
your music is amazing. This is also a result of how your music has reached beyond borders that you could ever imagine. So really
wow.
grateful for all that you're doing with IGM, Lauren. The voice that you have used so rightly to invite people to ensure that you can end slavery in our lifetime.
Yes.
So grateful for that, Lauren.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody listening in, go check out the page. Um, IJM, just those three letters, IJM, and you can learn all about it. Also, we're doing a donation where if you give to the prize fund through the music video for Hold On to Me, if you give to the prize fund, all of those proceeds will go to help the IJM mission, which I'm super, super grateful for. And I just a moment to speak from my heart. I really have been influenced so greatly by this organization. I mean, I have had my eyes on this organization for years and years and years, and I've been just like, God, show me ways that we can make a difference. And the work doesn't stop just with this FaceTime call. The work doesn't actually stop even with our donations, as beautiful and profound as they are. Like, this is something that will continue on. And I can't wait to see a revolution happen. I feel like there can be a revolution, and the awareness of people even knowing what is going on, I think, is a very, very big deal. I used to not understand awareness. I'd say awareness, we need action. I didn't get it. And now I'm like, oh, awareness is provoking.
Yes.
Awareness allows you to know there's something beyond this moment, and there's another reality for someone else. How can we be a part of making that reality a better thing? How can we make the reality better? It really is genuinely that simple. So I am super grateful for your time. I've loved this. I've loved getting to meet you. And I sincerely hope that I can come see you guys in India. Like,
Me
that would
too.
be amazing. Amazing. I'll ask my team if there's a way to make that happen. I would love that. And for everybody watching in, we'll send you guys videos when it happens.
Yeah. The
Uh,
next meeting would be from India or any other country in South
yeah.
Asia. Yes, Lauren, totally
I'm
up to
about
it.
it. I am so about it. Well, everybody, check out IJM.
Yeah.
Anu, thank you so much. I
My
genuinely
honor.
appreciate this. I feel like I have an even greater understanding after just speaking with you. It's been really beautiful. I'm grateful for
Thank
this
you,
time.
Lauren. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you so much for
absolutely.
blessing us with your time. We
Yeah.
appreciate you so much.
Oh,
Bye.
yes. And tell your country I said I love them. And
I'm so
I'll
mad
come
at
see
them.
you
I'm going to
guys.
follow you and ask what on earth happened there. See ya.
Oh, bye. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.